Pick a move in the ring. You can hit me with the words you fling.
While I got you guys here, I guess we just have a quick little preview of UFC 250, why don't we, for next weekend. So I'll bring up the card on the screen here. We've talked a little bit about it before. They've done some surgery, I think, to the card. It's not as bad as it first was, but still a little bit thin. Chris, why don't you start? Yeah, Amanda Nunes, Felicia Spencer, main event, women's featherweight title. But then we go down. It's
well, the overall card itself is not too bad a card. Thankfully, living in Asia, I don't have to pay for pay-per-view. But I think this is not of a pay-per-view level. It's not. I don't know what the price is in America. Is it $50 at the moment? I'm not sure if this is where $60. Yeah, I mean,
65 plus ESPN plus $5. You know.
Yeah, so it's quite a lot of money to put out. I mean, those top 3 fights are pretty good. And I mean, I do like it when you do have 2 people in the same weight class on the main card with fighting ranked opponents, because after that night they can call each other out, or it gives you a clear idea of the division. Felicia Spencer's done absolutely fantastic, but I am so sorry. We have the female GOAT, Amanda Nunes. I think she's a smasher.
Yeah, Amanda Nunes, whenever she's fighting, I'm watching. No matter who she's fighting, it's just she's must-watch TV for me, because she is either number 1 or number 2 greatest of all time for women, you know. Yeah. And the other one would be Cyborg, right? But she beat Cyborg, and you know, it's here or there, you know what I mean? It's a matter of differences. But yeah, Amanda Nunes, I'm excited to see her back in the cage, and I feel like this fight is just going to be a shellacking, you know, like it's just going to be just devastating, you know. Like her last fight went 5 rounds against Durandame, and it wasn't the best performance, but it almost seemed like she wanted to prove that she could go to the ground and fight that way. And now she's going to be back to her normal self, like she would against like Holly Holmes, and she's going to stay away from the ground, because Felicia Spencer, more of a threat on the ground, right? She don't want to play around and get choked out. You know, that's what happened to Holly Holmes against Miesha Tate. You know, she fought that fight very well for the whole 4 rounds, and then the 5th round she somehow ended up getting her back taken and choked out. And that could definitely happen to Amanda Nunes. Felicia Spencer is definitely capable of doing that, but I don't see that happening. It's going to be a shellacking, and Nunes is going to come away with another title defense at featherweight. But that's not even the best fights on the card. You know, like Chris was saying, it's these 3 bantamweight fights that are looking very delicious, you know, if there were food. You got Sunsao versus Garbrandt. You know, this fight is important for Garbrandt, because it's like, can Garbrandt hang with the top 135ers in the world or not? Even if he goes to a decision with Sunsao, if he looks good, then it kind of shows us, okay, he's improving. He's still capable of beating maybe or competing against the top guys. But if Sunsao goes in there and dominates Garbrandt, he has no choice but to go down to 125. And there's a lot of people starving to get their hands on Garbrandt right now at flyweight.
Well, the question with Cody is how is that chin? Because, I mean, you go on Reddit nowadays, no one calls him Cody No Love Garbrandt anymore. It's all Cody No Chin Garbrandt, because when he does lose, he just seems to get horrifically knocked out. And, I mean, he's still a very young guy, but yeah, he has serious questions to answer about his future.
I don't think...
Continue, John, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think his chin is... You know, he's been knocked out, yes, but the reason why he's been knocked out is it's just been wild.
Yeah.
You know, and I think like any of the bantamweights in the top of the division, if they fought like Cody, they probably all get knocked out too. You know what I mean? That's just the way that he goes out on his shield. But Garbrandt, I feel like if he stays more technical and uses his speed, he'll stay away from those big shots, you know, because he was going shot for shot with Munoz, shot for shot with Dillashaw, and that's what got him in trouble. And hopefully he learns from that. But if he doesn't, well, we got another good fighter for the 125 division.
Well, he generally gets knocked out after he drops someone. That's the interesting thing. He drops them, and then he seems to get overconfident, and that's when he gets knocked out. I think that's probably what makes it look so devastating.
Yeah,
definitely. Sterling v. Corey Sanhagen.
Ooh, that should be for the title. That should
right.
be for the vacant bantamweight title. I love Peter Yan, and Jose Aldo's a legend, but I don't feel like Jose Aldo deserves a title shot, especially coming off a loss to Marlon Moraes. I don't care if you think, it's funny how the UFC works sometimes. Is if they thought like you won the fight even though you did not win the fight, they use that and say, oh, we're gonna give you a better fight, which is for the title. But yeah, so if Peter Yan was fighting Sterling or Peter Yan was fighting Sandhagen, and I would say, of course, that's perfect for a vacant title shot, but it didn't work out that way. But yeah, this fight right here, Sterling versus Sandhagen, it's gonna be, it should be for the title, but it's not. But still, it's a great fight. And when I look at this fight, I see Sandhagen dismantling Sterling pretty easily. They're very similar fighters, but Sandhagen's much taller, much longer. Fights very similar to Sterling, but Sandhagen's better with his reach, right? Which is positioning. Sterling, if he doesn't wrestle with Sandhagen or Sterling's gonna have a lot of problems against Sandhagen. I feel like Sandhagen has that killer instinct more than Sterling does too, and Sandhagen is gonna line himself up for the next title shot.
And the Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley.
Show, exactly. He's also much watched TV too, right?
Eddie Wineland, Sean O'Malley. That's a good opener, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I don't actually think this is actually going to be a competitive fight. We all know this is just a coming out party for Sugar Sean O'Malley. I mean, he's so popular, and I follow his YouTube, I follow his Instagram. What's interesting, sometimes I click on the people who comment. He's got a really, really young demographic of followers. He seems to be really popular with that 14 to 23-year-old kind of demographic. He's got that West Coast hippie kid kind of vibe. He got his ban earlier and he came back with some face tattoos like one of these SoundCloud rappers. So it's nice to see him coming out, because I didn't know how far he could actually go in the sport. And I actually think he has championship quality, he has championship character, all the charisma. And I actually think in a year or two's time, he's going to be the next big UFC champion we're going to see on like TV shows, late night TV shows in the US, all over the world. I think he's actually going to go a bit mainstream.
I agree. But I think people said that about Cody Garbrandt, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's always a danger. It could go either way, but I'm hyped to see that one. Same for you, John?
No, I'm hyped to see it. And Sean O'Malley's a fighter that, like I said earlier, is must-watch TV. But I have to disagree with Chris. I think this fight is dangerous for O'Malley. Eddie Wineland, he's a veteran. He's been fighting since WEC. He's fought some of the best guys in the world. He's fought for the title. The style, the stance that he has, it's not so great against a diverse striker like O'Malley. But Eddie Wineland can bang and he could take shots. And I think that's going to be the game plan going in against O'Malley. He's just going to want to take his head off. And if he lands, O'Malley, we could see O'Malley sleeping. But O'Malley's so slick too at the same time. So it's kind of very undetermined.
He is, to anyone out there who doesn't know who he is, you've got to watch his fights, because this kid is really the future of MMA. I think he's got to be one of the biggest fighters out there who has no base in any martial art. His base is mixed martial arts. That's what he's trained as a kid. And he's really the first person to come through as a mixed martial artist rather than a wrestler who's gone into mixed martial arts or a boxer, taekwondo, etc. So it's just very interesting to see. And we will see more of this as the sport evolves over the next 10 years, because the last 10 years have been amazing.
Nice analysis, boys. Neil Magny back as well. Vince Anthony, Rocco Martin. That sure should be a fun one as well. Neil Magny looked sensational last time out against the Leech, didn't he?
Yeah. I think Neil Magny maybe have this one. I think it's going to be a great fight. All of his fights are always entertaining. One of my favorite fighters. And, after what happened tonight, in this division, a win, it's very, very open right now.
John, how do you see it going there between Magny and Rocco Martin?
It's going to be a close fight. I actually talked to Rocco, and this is going to be the last fight on his current contract, and he didn't even renegotiate. He's betting on himself, basically, because the reason why he's doing that is he wants to get this Magny win, and then when he signs his next contract, he wants to have a ranked fighter. And if it's not a ranked fighter, this is what he told me. If it's not a ranked fighter, he's not going to sign the contract. He's not going to re-sign with the UFC because his purpose right now is not to make the most money. It's to get up in the rankings and fight the best guys so he could make the most money, you know what I mean, in his career, not make the most money now. He knows that he needs to move up. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of mentality he has going into this fight against Magny, because Magny's dangerous everywhere. And he's kind of his physical attributes are very unique. You know what I mean? He's really, really tall, really, really long. And it's going to be interesting to see if Rocco can get in there and get into the range where he could tag Magny enough to where he could finish him. Another guy on this card that we should look out for is like very similar to Sean O'Malley, who's Chase Hooper. You know, the featherweight of, I guess, the Sean O'Malley of the featherweights. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy that comes in. This is his second fight. He's undefeated. And he's facing a veteran also in Alex Caceres. I thought Alex Caceres was cut. I didn't even know that he was still signed to the UFC roster, but he just keeps hanging around, man. Bruce Leroy he's Bruce Leroy. What can you say?
Yeah, I like it. I think it'd be a good fight. Chase Hooper, has looked fantastic. And you know, when you're top of the prelims, this is also, it's a not as big a coming out party, but this is like a big chance to really put your foot in the door and start climbing those rankings.
What about Ian Heinisch, Gerald Meerschaert, also on the prelims?
Both unranked middleweights, but should be a good fight. Both pretty powerful.
Heinisch is ranked number 13th in the middleweight division. Yeah. And Meerschaert is right at the fringe, you know, right at the borderline of the rankings. So it's a big fight for Meerschaert. If he could finish Heinisch, he could crack the rankings, you know. And what Heinisch is basically doing is he's fighting for his spot in the rankings. If he loses this, then he's out. I actually spoke to Heinisch yesterday, and he was supposed to do his full camp at Tiger Muay Thai. You know, he's joining Tiger Muay Thai, right? Him and Nate Marquardt. In July after this fight. They're actually doing their camp before the pandemic, but then when Trump came out and told everybody that we're going to close the borders, Ian and Nate, they went back to Colorado. That's why Ian is doing his camp in Colorado. After this fight, no matter what happens, the result, he's in July, him and Nate Marquardt is going to fly to Phuket. They're going to live there. They're going to train out of Tiger Muay Thai, you know, work with George Hickman and the coaches down there. So I'm excited to see what he can do. And he's kind of becoming part of our family on this side of the world, you know, rather than be on that side of the world. But it's going to be a fun fight. I think these styles clash well. And I don't know. Jared's been looking good, and Heinisch is on a 2-fight losing streak. So it's a tough call.
Well, yeah, go check out John's interview with Ian Heinisch on YouTube. I sure will.
Definitely.
What about Cody Stamann back in action? Featherweight bout against Brian Kelleher. Yeah, that should be a fun one as well. This card isn't too bad. I know we slagged it off a little bit.
Yeah, it's finally come together quite nicely. It's going to be a nice early morning start, guys. Maybe go for breakfast, have breakfast, and watch the fights. But yeah, it does look good. Brian Kelleher, absolute veteran, great fighter. Cody Stamann, also good. I don't really have much to say on this fight.
Cody, he's ranked. You know, he's fought a lot of the top guys, and I interviewed him a few weeks back when they canceled his fight, and he was just eager to just get back in there against anybody. So Brian is the one that they chose. You know, this is a big fight for Brian because he gets to face a guy that's ranked. There's a lot. That's kind of a common theme on this card right here. Is the guys that are fighting guys that are ranked, maybe possibly be able to take their position in the rankings if they win. Brian, he's coming off that. I think he submitted somebody in his last fight. I forgot who it was, but he's on a winning streak. You know, he actually fought out his contract 2 fights ago, and then he won his fight. They renegotiated. He signed up and fought. Yeah, he fought after he beat O'Day Osborne. That was his last fight on contract. He won that fight, renegotiated, took on Hunter Azure, knocked him out in the second round, and he's just climbing, man. And it's like all contender series guys, but this time he's getting somebody with a big name. But one thing interesting about this is they're fighting at featherweight. They're not fighting at bantamweight.
Cody fought Song Yadong last time, didn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You boys carry on. I got to plug in the laptop.
All right, well, there's one more fight on here, or there's two more fights on here that's interesting. And one of them is going to be very pivotal in the rankings in the flyweight division, which is Jussier Formiga versus Alex Perez. Formiga is ranked, I believe, number 4. Yeah, he's ranked number 4, and Alex Perez is ranked number 9 in the flyweight division. So whoever wins this is a big fight for Alex. If he can beat Formiga and impressively, he could crack the top 5. And that's huge for him. Formiga, he goes in as the favorite, but I can see Alex pulling this off, man. And I don't know if he's gonna finish him, but I can see him like taking it 3 rounds and getting a good decision win over Formiga and moving up.
Alex has a little bit more variety to his game than Formiga. Like Formiga, been around a long time, but just do you think has a little bit more to his game. And then pretty much for these guys, if whoever wins is probably one more fight away from a title shot, really, which does show you that sometimes the UFC really does not put these lower guys higher up the list, do they really? Because they're like, there's no stars in the flyweight. Well, there's no stars when you've got the 5th and 9th ranked, not even on the prelims, on the early prelims. I mean, you wouldn't see this in the heavyweight division, would you?
No, you wouldn't see this. It's just that's what the flyweights are. There's certain flyweights that get the push, and certain flyweights they don't get the push. I talked to Alex Perez last week, and I asked him about that, and he's just like, I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about getting this win, and then I'll think about that stuff afterwards. But he has a good attitude. I think Alex Perez, he feels like this is his time. So when a guy feels like this is his time, this is his chance to kind of make that title run, he's a very dangerous fighter. And for one thing about Formiga, he's a ground fighter, but sometimes he gets caught like in long stand-up exchanges where he can lose the fight in that way. And it could probably happen in this fight. If he can't take Alex Perez down, he just sit there and trade with him, and that's not going to work out well. Another thing is Herbert Burns, he's back. He's taking a 1-week notice fight against Evan Dunham at 150-pound catch weight. They just put it on the card yesterday. Did you see that?
No.
It's not on the... Well, I guess it was not updated it yet. But
no, they haven't updated yet, but they put that fight on the card yesterday. I actually texted Herbert Burns yesterday and asked him, and then I'll be interviewing him in a couple of days. I think on fight week, during fight week sometime. He's all, hey, Gilbert Burns, man, we just watched his brother fight. His younger brother is gonna fight, the next week at 250. A guy that fought for one championship, dominated one championship while he was there, and now he's looking to dominate the UFC's featherweight division. Evan Dunham, he's a lightweight, but that's what's weird about this fight. Evan Dunham's a lightweight, but they're doing this fight at catchweight as 150 pounds. So he's cutting an extra 5 pounds. I don't understand what the logic of that was. Why didn't they just get another lightweight to step in against Evan Dunham? Doesn't make any sense. It's very confusing why they did that, but it's the pandemic. It's the coronavirus. I don't know. It's just COVID-19 just has put everything off whack. So that's what's happening here. It's just that's pretty much it. You know what I mean? Like this card. For us, it's a good card. There's a lot of good matchups. For a casual fan, there's not much there for them. Maybe Sean O'Malley. You got Cody Garbrandt. I feel like casual fans really don't know Sterling and Sanhagen so much. And Amanda Nunes, of course, there's the pockets of people that know about her. But overall, it's a great card for fight fans. But for a casual fan or a pay-per-view, if you stack it up against other pay-per-views, it doesn't even come close to being a decent pay-per-view. And I think it hurts when Valentina Shevchenko and that fight was pulled from this card, because it was supposed to be Amanda Nunes and Valentina on the same card defending their titles. If it had Valentina, I think it would have drew a little bit more, because it seems like Valentina has a big fandom around the world. Do you guys feel that too?
Oh yeah, definitely. The whole Valentina Shevchenko is a spy and all this and all the memes. She does have something really following about her, and I guess obviously being able to speak fluent Russian, fluent Spanish probably does help quite a lot. And her English is pretty good as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I'm sure we'll be back next weekend to recap the card. Should be a fun one, at least. Yeah, as you say, John, though, I do not think it will be popping too many pay-per-view buys. But who cares? We're just here to recap it. Anyway, yeah, thanks again, guys, for joining me. Chris EB over here.
Thank you.
To give us your new handle, you've just set up a new Twitter, haven't you?
Chris EB_MMA. And I'm on there following John, following Nick, put some stuff about the fights today. So feel free to hit me up, guys.
Yeah, and as always, you can find John over there at JHK MMA on YouTube and Twitter. Yeah, he interviews everyone. Who haven't you interviewed today, John? You seem to already have everyone from the next card.
Can I say to everyone out there, his interview with Jairzinho Rosenstrike the other day was an absolute fantastic listen. That's one I'd recommend.
That.
Yeah, one of the hardest working guys I know for sure in MMA, and a real diamond in the rough. You know, John, we love your work. Thank you so much for coming on, and we appreciate it as always. And thank you, Chris, for coming into the studio.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you again next week, hopefully. I hope you enjoyed it. Cheers, guys.
Peace.